Hey, welcome to this week with Bob and Chris, and Chris is already wound up. So
Oh man, this is a good one. This is the type of shit that irks me. It just irks me.
yeah, it goes. So what? So what's got you all fired up today, Chris?
Oh man, okay. I posted I posted this on my LinkedIn, and there's a let's break it down. VMware ESXi. A lot of companies use it to run their infrastructure. They have their virtual servers on there, and the number one thing you shouldn't do is expose it to the internet. That's number one. And then number two is you should patch it. So what happens when you expose it to the internet and you don't patch it, and then threat actors decide to use a 2-year-old vulnerability and automate attacks? You get 3,200 plus machines on the internet being ransomwared.
So you got to write some checks now.
Yeah, well, it gets better, right? Because CISA for the United States wrote a script that says, okay, cool. On the first wave, run this script. We can use some metadata. We can probably get it back. So what do the threat actors do? They're like, oh, you think you're cute, do you? They run a second wave and they change the encryption to basically invalidate the script and make it so you're not going to recover. So all I got to say is I hope you have backups. There's been universities hit by this. There's been a certain Supreme Court inside of a United States state.
So let's back up for a minute, Chris, and just so people understand what's actually gone on here. This is more than just having a web server sitting out that people can see on the internet. This was the web servers that controlled a whole bunch of other servers to control their infrastructure. So it was the master control for where people could run these computers.
Yep, it's a hypervisor. So let's say your business runs 5 virtual machines, and you have a do I want to say it? Yeah, I'll say it. You have a lazy admin who wants to be able to access it remotely and just goes in and exposes it to the internet. Nothing can go wrong there. Nothing.
It allows them to work from home easily.
Yeah. And Guys, by the way, it's really easy to find this
stuff of working from home than putting this stuff on the internet now. And like Chris said, this really comes down to someone being lazy or just being lazy.
We can say stupid or ignorant. Probably lazy. I don't want to call people stupid because I think it's disingenuous, but like, come on. This is like using like techniques from like 2000 in 2023 and thinking it's okay.
It really comes down to being lazy and irresponsible.
Yeah. Are you stupid or irresponsible? I think that's what you're trying to go to. Yeah. Yeah. So it just irks me because you're running your entire business off of this, or you're running like an entire business unit off of this. And there's been VMware's had a rough year anyway with like exploits and stuff like that over the last year, but like a 2-year-old vulnerability. Now, some people were like, well, we had the service disabled and they still got hit with it. So there might be more to it than just disabling the service. Like if you didn't have the patch installed, you could literally be hit by this. Understand, if you expose something to the internet directly, it is not hard to find.
It takes about 10 minutes to find a whole bunch of these machines sitting
You can use the 2000 technique of changing the port number. It doesn't work. It's super easy to find. There are so many tools today that make it easy to find. So number one, don't do it. Number two, if you are going to do it, you can put things like IP restrictions that maybe you're limited to like what IP you can go to. Or better yet, have a VPN or have some sort of remote access back into the environment that is secure and safe and not expose your entire business to a ransomware attack. Because all these people that get taken down, if they weren't doing backup, or even if they were doing backup, like it's gonna take them how long to recover?
So just hold on for a second for changing the port. This week I was walking through an office building.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a door open for a hallway. It had a server closet. It was a small server closet for some small business.
Ooh, physical security. I love it.
Big notice on the monitor. It said, RDP port has been changed to this. I'm like, I wanted to take a picture of it, but I was like, I can't do that.
This is the equivalent of putting a key under underneath like you or on top of like your door sill outside or underneath your mat and expecting somebody not to find it.
I'm putting a post-it on the door that says
Yeah, yeah.
look
If
on
you
the
want
mat.
to, yeah, if you want to enter my house, just look under the mat. Or you don't even have to have a post-it note. Somebody's gonna find it. Or one of those fake rocks that you can clearly tell is a fake rock. People love to do that. Look, like we're not trying to rail on people, but like I have a good question. I think this is a valid question for everything. Is your IT holding your business back? Or is it actually exposing your business to a level of risk that you're not even sure that you have?
Most people don't know.
Exactly. So if you're not testing things, if you're not going through and looking at this on a routine basis, even if it's quarterly, at least you would catch something like this. But this was a 2-year-old unpatched thing. Think about that. 2 years. And to be fair, the threat actors that did this, I mean, it's kind of genius. They automated most. It looks like it's completely automated. It literally goes out, searches, finds it, and it launches the attack without any human interaction at all. That's why it's so easy.
Encrypt it, put up a screen and says, pay your Bitcoin and we'll think
Yeah.
about giving you some keys.
And they waited 2 years to use it. It's not quite 2 years. It'll be 2 years this month before the patch got
That's
released.
always,
So,
that's been the case for multiple things. The SQL attacks
Yeah.
in the past have all been people that failed to patch.
yeah, Eternal Blue, stuff like that with Windows. Like there's been a bunch of vulnerabilities out there that just like if you continue to not patch, eventually somebody's gonna find out.
Same
like,
thing with the old software. Some of the software
Yeah.
that's sitting out there we can't patch.
Yeah, and that's why you have to look at it from a risk perspective and say, okay, well, what do I want to do with this? This is a risk to my business, but can we put at least controls in place that can minimize the risk? I'll tell you one control that doesn't minimize risk: exposing stupid shit to the internet. Just don't do it.
Well, it goes, Chris, it goes back to, why we use a third party to monitor us.
Yeah.
So from the IT perspective, if you've got if somebody's got an internal IT team or they're using another company, maybe it's time to bring in somebody else to monitor what's going on and look for, and do the risk assessments that are independent of the IT company, because they can't prove your own stuff.
Yeah, and at the risk of just like kind of like blowing up our entire business model, like I'm getting to the point now where I don't think IT and cybersecurity should be delivered by the same company, and that's going to be an unpopular opinion, because both of us do both. But like I'm getting to that point just where you need to have somebody that can be held accountable for certain things, and if you're putting it, and I understand affordability aspect of it. Like I understand that having two companies is probably unaffordable for a lot of small businesses, and I get that. And you're going to put your trust into people.
Going out of business is a lot less unaffordable.
That's a fair point.
More.
But I think at some point, I think there is a size of business where you get to where having two companies is a better play for you. And I don't think it has to be that big of a business. I think you need to get to a point where you have a budget and you can have checks and balances. Because inside your business, you're going to have checks and balances. At least I hope so. At least somebody can't run like somebody like access to your finances, right? It's not just one person, I hope.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, okay. But I mean in a bigger business, like smaller businesses, I understand that because you can only hire so many people, and I get that. But like as you get bigger, and I'm not talking like super big. Once you have like 20 employees or something like that, or even 15 employees, there's going to be a time where you have to really think about: is it good to have one company, or is it better to have two companies and have kind of like strategy first and Overwatch than it is to just have one company?
Yeah.
Or at the very least, hire a company to help you with the strategy. And maybe just review your IT company to make sure that they're doing what they say they're doing and what they should be doing. Because like you and I, we'll work with anybody. Like we're super cool about that and stuff like that. But like there are a lot of people in this industry that just don't want to work with other people. They want to hold everything close to the vest. They think that you're an enemy. And the reality is, it's like, no, we're trying to make the world better. We're trying to make businesses more resilient to attacks. We're trying to help people. And I know that may not be what some people want to hear, but
yeah. So I think we're going to wrap this up a little bit early, and
Yeah, before I
just
really go off the edge.
and just really want people to understand. You need to assess your risk. If you don't know how to do that, reach out to one of us, and let's have a short conversation and get the ball rolling, just so you know if your guys are doing the right thing.
Yeah, and ask, and if you have an IT person or IT team or something like that, ask them what's exposed to the internet and have them give you a list.
Yeah.
And then ask questions.
Well, a lot of the old people, exposed to the internet. Well, we put it on a different port, so it's no longer exposed. It's exposed. If it's if they can get to it easily over the internet, so can everybody else.
Yeah, just because you're speeding and get away with it for 10 years doesn't mean that you're not going to get a ticket one day.
And at the event a couple weeks ago, the message was, you're not too small to get hacked. You're just too small to show up in the news.
Or you might not be able to survive.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Can you make what is it, 6 months now? The news cycle's like 6 months for somebody that gets attacked. Can you make 6 months?
All right.
Think about that. Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
I think it's enough. I think it's enough
ranting for today.
Rant for the day. Yeah.
Well, have a good weekend, and we'll go from there.
All right. That sounds good. See you, everyone.